Hi, welcome to FRA's Roundtable Insight. This is host Richard Benuli. Today is Tuesday, October 29th. We have Judd Hirschberg back on the program show. Judd is president at Whiteway Trading, a trading company. He's run various proprietary trading groups and has over 50 years of trading experience. He's developed some awesome indicators and a repeatable process-based approach for trading the financial markets. Prior podcasts with Judd have focused on his approach and methodology, and also we've done updates on the financial markets quarterly basis. Today, we'd like to understand what Judd is currently seeing in the financial markets across asset classes and jurisdictions. Welcome, Judd.
Thanks, Richard. Pleasure to be back.
Great. And also just to mention, we're doing this live in the trading room, so may have questions also from the trading participants.
Yeah, I've got a lot of great people here in the room.
Yeah.
And some of them have been on your previous podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we could begin with your view on the bond market, various durations and yields.
Okay, so let's start with a 30-year bond. We've gone over this before, but we might as well take another look at it again. This is the life of bond pit futures, not the Globex session. Globex goes back to 98. This is life of contract. So the first time down that we came to the half of the life of the bond futures, we had almost a 20-point rally in the bonds. Then we came down to this other fib, had another big rally, and now we're back to the half of the life of bond futures. So it's all about the price action here. Eventually, I think that the bond futures are going to come down to parity and even a little bit lower. So I can show you that in yield for all the yield people. Here we are. Somebody blow this up. So you can see it's the same thing on this chart. Oh, this one, I think, this is the life of yield. So, it's getting hung up at that 4.8. This is an annual. But eventually, I think you're going to see the yield come back to almost 8%.
This could be over a long period of time.
Yeah, or it could be short period of time, depending upon what goes on here in the United States.
Yeah, that's pretty far up there.
Yeah, so I'm really focused on the futures because I think it's a better read than the yield, but the yield has the potential to go all the way back to 8%. And if we go back and just look at the life of the futures contract, this tells me how it's moving from A to B. And we start closing under this half again, we're going to, you've got another 8 full points. I'm not as focused on the short end of the curve only because from a trading perspective, you get all the wiggle in the long end.
Yeah. What about the spread like between a 2-year and a 10-year?
Well, here, where's my 210? Right here. Yeah. Let me just go. Here's the life of contract in the 210. And, it went right up to momentum in the half of the life of the 210 curve at 258 and backed off. So, right now I have to see price action above this for it to go any higher.
Interesting. And how about moving to the equity markets, and also being able to see your great indicator, the spool bonds, for example?
Okay, let's go over to this other, okay. I've got some of the other charts on here we'll go over in the gold, but the SPU bonds have a lot higher to go. You know, they're basing out right now at new highs. This is new all-time highs. And I'm just looking at the short swing, which is from July of 24, and this was basically the unwind of the yen carry trade. And this is a very short looking chart for me. You know, it has much higher targets. And this is, you know, today's high is new all-time high in the spread. And you know, as the spread goes from left to right, you can buy breaks in the indices, even though the bonds have been leading this move of recent. You know, and the NASDAQ bonds, you know, just is gone back up here, back to the high of the year. It made new highs, new all-time highs today. And depending upon what happens after the close of these tech earnings, you know, I expected to see it a lot higher. So there's plenty of room for this to go. My targets are on the sheet. I expect to at least see, you know, a retest of that 21,000 level in the NASDAQ futures. And if they get above it, and then another couple of 1,000 NASDAQ points. So I'm just looking at the price and trying to block out everything else.
Yeah.
Here's a long-term point and figure in the S&Ps. You know, 59.38 was that first area. We went up into the high 20s, low 30s, and kind of stalled out and came back down and held. You know, we can easily go to 6,000. And, you know, there are higher targets. So I just need to see how it's going to move here. But potentially we have much higher targets and everything. You know, the only one I don't like is the Russell because of what the bonds are doing. I'm expecting this double top to be taken out on this point and figure in the NASDAQ. And this particular look, this is a fib-based point and figure. This one's already broken out. Would you like, what do you want to cover now? Some of the gold?
Yeah, well, I mean, before we get to that, are you able to show also the Japanese yen, given that, you know, it has a strong effect on the financial markets globally? Like, is there a correlation between what you're seeing on the equity markets and the Japanese yen?
I don't want to go there with the yen because you know, I'm not good enough fundamentally to discern all the stuff that's going on there right now. But right now, you know, when I look at a quarterly dollar yen chart, this dollar low right there split the 98 intervention levels and completely went the other way. You know, if we, you know, so I've only got two numbers. And the one number I'm looking at now is 160, 161 again. Because we get over that, you're going to get the yen's going to weaken substantially. You know, it's going to do a plaza chord swing. Hold on. And you're going to see 175, you know, in dollar yen. So this is a huge, huge area going back to 1988, 86. We start getting over that, it's just going to weaken again. Now, if you look at the Nikkei is still stuck. This green line is unchanged on the year. So it's still struggling at the 90 highs, the 1990 highs, and we were above it for a little bit. That swing up has a huge swing higher in the Nikkei, huge. But, it can't stay above 40,000. And that's going to be the key. It has to sustain above 40,000.
There'll be a divergence between the Nikkei in yen versus the Nikkei in US dollars.
Well, this is there I can the charts look the same. I think I've gone over them before, but I'm pretty sure the charts look the same. Yeah, it's basically the same. This is the Nikkei, in Singapore. It's basically the same chart. They're not that different.
And you're able to look at other equity markets, maybe perhaps looking in Asia first, Malaysia or Indonesia.
Yeah. Hold on, let me get to this other.
Yeah, looking at some of the emerging markets.
Sure. Hang on 1 minute. Let me get to the other screen. All right. Well, there's Argentina. That's just off to the races. And on this is a log chart. It's not a linear chart. It's the only way you can get an extension. Let's see, you wanted to look at Hong Kong before. Let me change that. That's just sideways. Oh, that's Chile. What's Malaysia's symbol?
EWM.
All right. I don't know if that's a good ETF for it.
Mm.
But
India.
that's India. It's holding on the longer time frames, although it could come down a little bit. There's definitely room for it to come down back to the 21 highs, which would be a complete, you'd want to buy it down there. So if it broke 10%, you definitely want to buy India. What was the other one you were looking at?
In Indonesia, like IDX is one.
What's going on with this? Well, there it is. All right. There's Mexico. Again, I think this is just another one that's going to be, you're going to have to wait until after the election before you even touch this one way or the other. Because you want to see what the policy is going to be. Colombia. I had Colombia before. Here it is. Oh, that's Canada. Canada still looks good, and they've got issues.
Yeah.
You've got issues.
Yeah. GXG. Yeah. GXG is Colombia. Yeah. GX.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
That's not ready yet. At least on a quarterly. Let me take down the time frame. Now, you can't touch it on a weekly. It hasn't bottomed yet.
Okay. Brazil. Similar.
Again, the world's being divided up. So I don't really, I'm not really enthusiastic about Brazil, but I just say from a technical standpoint, you'd want to see it hold 27.5. Otherwise you risk, going down to the 2016 lows again. That's just a huge consolidation pattern for me.
Yeah, that's a good view on the emerging markets. Could we look at maybe a sector like nuclear energy? There's the commodity uranium, but there's also some equities that are interesting to look at. SMR, the New Scale company, and Oklo, OKLO.
All right, let me go to a different screen. We'll start with the Sprots. This is end of day data for uranium, and I think this is this yesterday's low was a really good spot for uranium. I don't know where it's trading today because this is a Canadian exchange, so all my data is end of day. But again, this is just another consolidation pattern down in here. And, you want to see it hold like 25.5. As long as it stays above 25.5, I think it's good. It's hard with this because there's not a lot of data to the, to the unit trust. You get a much better view in some of these power companies. New Scale, it's got much higher targets. So we'll just, let me look and make sure I'm on the right. Okay. I think there's another almost another 7 or 8% in that in New Scale. I mean, there's not great trade location in it. You want to see it stay above this daily momentum line right now at 19.5. And Oklo, let's see what this one looks like. Well, it's already hit its first objective yesterday, or close to it. Had a nice sell-off, and it's still holding. I mean, it can go higher. As long as it's above, at this point, as long as it's above 22, I don't see anything wrong with it. Let me go out in a longer time frame and see what it looks like. Yeah, that's the swing right there. I mean, it had a, well, that was all Microsoft, right? Buying their technology or putting in their stuff for
Microsoft,
their data centers. Was this the company or was it the other one?
Constellation Energy. I think they were with the 3 Mile Island. I think this one is Google and some other company. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it looks good. So, this nuclear space, and then it's I'm going to show you a couple of different charts here in the metals.
I was looking at this gold.
You want to look at the gold. You need to use a log chart. And you use the 76 to 1980 swing, which I'm going to use in both. And you can see that gold Swiss, new highs. Gold and euro, new highs today. Gold and yuan, new highs. Gold in Indonesian rupee, new highs. So whichever one you look at, you're looking at this. You're looking at a chart like this.
Oh.
And to give you an idea here, let me just slide this over. There it is. Here it is in dollar terms. This is just a gold, same extensions. This is an annual chart, and I'm looking at almost another $200 from here for a start. So I'm not looking for a top until the mid 2900s. And that's just a stopping place. I mean, the longer term targets are up closer to 3,300 and higher. So I don't want to be short gold. You're only looking to buy it. Silver's the same thing. The silver is
Similar patterns are.
Yeah, the silver charts are the same. Here's what I've been going off of with the silver. Let me get rid of that. I'm using this point figure. And this is the, you could use a bar chart. But that is the 2019 low from basically the double top in the futures, just shy of $50. So it came up and traded 35, last week, and then had a pretty good break. And it went from fib to fib back here. And then I got into a US session only chart, and I put out 33, 34 as the place to look to buy it. And went there overnight, never gave it to you during the day, and it's been going up ever since. So it starts closing, you get a decent close over 35-ish, it's going another $2 for a start. So I'm not, I don't want to say it's going back to $50, but that's all. I think the gold's. You're better off being in the gold because the central banks are buying gold. I think that a lot of people are buying silver because it's more of a catch-up trade.
Do you also look at platinum and palladium?
Yeah, let me look at the platinum. The platinum's lagged and just lagged. I could get into the spreads, but it's still gold. It's any way you look at it, it's going to be gold. Here's gold platinum. Gold's leading.
Yeah.
So I think the other metals are just catch-up trades. Palladium on its own is trying to, it held last quarter, but it doesn't seem to have a lot of impetus. I just think a gold's better trade than some of the other metals.
Any views on copper?
It's it tried to go again, and then it lost demand from China. Okay, I can't type. The beginning of October, at the end of September, it just faded. And then it faded again. That's all China demand. So even with their stimulus, you just haven't seen the foreign demand in copper to really get it to go.
And turning to the energy commodities, would we look at like oil and natural gas?
Okay, well, let's look at the first one first, which is the first thing you want to look at when you're looking at the energies is you want to look at long crude, short natty. And that's just sideways to me. When I look at the crude itself, the 67 level, and again, it's today, it probed in at just below 67 again, but it hasn't turned this point in figure. You start getting underneath that, then it's going to go lower. And I think that's one more thing that's besides geopolitical, I think that's going to be election related too. All right. So when we're going to the oil, let me look at, let me get this other chart. We want to go to a linear chart. And again, it's like, what swing is it following? Well, this is the negative print on the daily continuation. Okay. And the swings aren't that far apart, but you're either looking for, I like looking at, you have to look at both charts to try to figure out what it's doing here. And all the matches come in, around 63.5 to 65.5. So is it following that one? Or does it follow? Hold on. There we go. Hold on. Let's put that up. The active which the low is $6.50. So I like looking at the other one because the oil went negative.
Yeah.
But you're still gonna, it's the low 60s, not to be perfect, but it's still anywhere from 61 to 64, where I think it kind of bottoms out again and starts back up. I don't see a scenario where that goes a hell of a lot lower.
How does natural gas look, similar or different?
Well, nat gas is a little different, and I'll show you. Mainly because you have a huge rollover there. There's a huge premium to the contracts, okay? So even though this was like a Wednesday low and it's 200 day, the contracts went from NOV to Ds, and there was a huge premium in them. So here, let me just show you what the curve looks like. You know, as you go out, it was, you know, there's a $6 difference between the NOV and the Ds. And then there's another $3 to January. And then it starts coming down after February into the spring before it starts going up again. So it's really the delivery spreads that are driving this thing back and forth. And can this month, can the Decembers come back to like $2.50? Yeah. You know, I don't want to buy it here because the whole up is a spread. So I don't know if that helps or not, but that's kind of what it is.
Interesting. And maybe we could look at the agricultural commodities.
Sure. The beans, wouldn't touch them. Wouldn't touch them because of how great the weather's been in the growing regions up here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Or for geopolitical reasons, I wouldn't touch it yet. And I think you have to at least wait till for another couple of weeks, and then I think you can take then you can look at it again to see if you get some bottoming action. But in the meantime, I wouldn't touch it. You know, there were too many positive things that I saw from Mississippi river flows, where the barges were going to have trouble again with the water levels. It should be bullish. You know, it hasn't really been a factor. So corn, you know, that just leaves me nonplussed. And when I look at it, you know, the last time I think Ira was in and we looked at beans and real, and I thought it had a chance of bottoming. But if it's going to bottom, you're going to see it against the real. And the beans and real look a little bit better. But this is a big sideways pattern. You know, I think you have to wait till through mid-November, and then it's going to be a weather market in Brazil. There's plenty of inventory up here. And if we can't export it, the price of beans are either going to stay here or go lower.
Interesting. And overall, what would you say is your highest conviction trade at the moment?
It's just long gold and silver, short
Okay.
the currencies. You pick one. You know,
Okay.
it's not, you know, it hasn't even started going in dollar terms yet. I mean,
Yeah.
all the strength has been against other currencies. It's been, you know, foreign governments, you know, other central banks buying the gold. And you can see where that demand's coming from. It really hasn't been dollar driven. What was I just gonna, oh yeah. Hold on. And look at the gold outperforming the 30-year bonds. new all-time highs. All right, so let's take a look at this in the same vein as we did the gold. You know, this has got more to go, but that's not the swing. You want to look at it on a log chart to see where it could go, because you want a percentage move. And this can go a lot higher. So you're just into buying the hard breaks in the metals when you get the chance.
Interesting. And just, I guess, opening up to the participants in the trading room, does anybody have questions in the trading room?
Angela, you got any comments? All right. Yeah, I mean, and I don't see anything that stands out that makes me want to do anything in the currencies right here. I think it's a big sideways pattern in a lot of the crosses. You know, Swiss yen is trying to go again.
Any thoughts on Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, if it closes up here, I'm looking, it needs a weekly close up here. Above 72.5, I'm looking for 84,000, and then either side of 100,000.
Okay.
Do not want to be short Bitcoin. I mean, you know, you get chances to buy it here and there, and you had a chance, you know, a couple of weeks ago, down in here again, down in the 60,000 level, and that was about it. So you'll have to wait for, you know, you'll have to wait for the next one. So that's, you know, kind of the overview. A lot of things I think you just have to buy in breaks. You know, the metals are buying breaks. As long as the SPU bonds and NASDAQ bonds are going up, you're buying the equities on breaks. You cannot sell weakness, you'll get destroyed.
Great, that's been a good overview. And could you tell the audience, listeners and viewers, how they can learn more about your work and also get a free trial?
Sure. All you have to do is go to whitewavetradingstrategies.com, my homepage, and put in your email address and your name, and you'll get put on my distribution list, and you can come and join us for a month and check out our methodology. It's kind of it takes a little bit of time to, I guess, to learn to hear what I say and how I speak, because it's different than listening to a traditional Wall Street person.
Yeah. And you have some videos available also to describe and explain some of the process and the trading strategies and the indicators.
Yes, and you can go to White Wave Strategies YouTube channel. There's an unbelievable amount of content, conversations with Ira, with everybody else, the room talking about global macro stuff. Andrew's in there. It's, you know, there's tons of content.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so
Well,
much,
thanks,
Jen.
Richard. I mean, I really appreciate it. And
Do it again
all
next
your
time.
podcasts have just been terrific.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.